All right, everyone. Welcome to LOD Tech. This is Clayton, your host, I guess. And today we're going to talk a little bit about AMD and their Radeon RX 5000 series. I'm just doing a podcast style video this time around. I kind of had some issues with sleep, so I don't look very good. Not that I look all that great to begin with, but yeah, insomnia has been kicking my butt pretty good. So let's start with the RX 5500 and 5500 XT, I guess. These are two cards that were released late last year. They were announced earlier, but they came late to actual OEMs, or they came to the OEMs first, and then they came to add and board partners. And if you're listening to this, and I don't have these cards, but I mean, going by the reviews that most of the reviewers have and just the specs, this is not the card you want. I think that you probably should save up a little bit more money. If it comes in a pre-built, then, go ahead, grab one of those cards, I guess. But for the most part, you're going to want to stay away from that. And the reason for that is because they just announced last week that their 5600 is going to be coming out. And that looks like a much better buy and a little bit more power. And of course, we want to make sure that we're getting all the power we can get for the most amount of money that we can spend. And the 5600 just looks like a better buy to me. I mean, it looks like it's going to be going up against the what's the 1600 or 1660 Ti, 1660 Super, the RTX 2060. Looks like they have an RTX card coming out from EVGA to combat this. Now, I don't know if any other manufacturers are going to be doing this, but it looks like they're definitely going to be doing a RTX 2060 KO, which is, we'll have to see what happens when we get that one. But it's definitely not something that is, well, I don't know. Maybe it's AMD. Maybe AMD is definitely, AMD. NVIDIA is maybe doing this in the background and just letting them build their own card. Obviously, they are, because this is something they want to combat with. And EVGA is definitely, they don't deal with AMD, so why not? Let's see what happens. But, and then you have the 5700. Now, the 5700 in Canada is pretty steep, but it is comparable to the 2070 for sure. But if you're looking at low cost right now and you have your eye on the 5500, I would say, maybe wait a month, save up a little bit more money, and get yourself the 5600, because that's definitely going to be something that's going to be a little bit better than the 5600, the 5500. The 5700, though, I would love to get my hands on this. I mean, oh my goodness, I would love to see what it does compared to my 2080. Now, I know it's not a 2080 competitor, but definitely in some benchmarks, it does the similar numbers, and it comes close in some scenarios. So definitely not a bad card. I know that there's been some rumblings online, so in the last couple of days, about the 5950, the 5900, and the 5800. Now, whether or not we actually see those cards, it would be pretty amazing if we do. I'm assuming the 5950 is going to be their high-end card, and that will combat against the 2080 Ti. But at the end of the day, do we know? We don't know. We have no idea. I mean, we're just speculating at that point. I'm sure there's people that got some, data from people from behind the scenes and can talk about a little bit, but you got to take this stuff with a grain of salt, because at the end of the day, we don't know. And I mean, last year, look what happened. I mean, everybody was talking about 5 gigahertz AMD Ryzen 3000 chips, and we didn't get there. And a lot of people were disappointed about that. These are the same people that probably are more, like I have a 3800X, and like I want to do a video on that, just on the reasoning of why I bought it, because a lot of people online are talking about why the 3800 is not a good buy. And I agree with them that the price wise it's not a good buy, but when you guys see that video, and I should be having that coming up soon, you'll understand why I bought it. But I love the 3800X, and I've had lots of Intel systems, I've had a lot of AMD systems, and I'm very happy with the 8-core 16-thread. It helps me do my work a little bit better here. It helps me do some light streaming when I'm doing videos and the such. So I think that for the most part, I don't want people to get too excited at the 5950 and the 5900 and the 5800. You should be excited that they're going to be coming out with the big Navi. But at the same time, let's make sure that we're taking all these rumors with a grain of salt, because at the end of the day, the only thing that could really hurt these cards is the backlash if they don't hit the numbers that everybody's projecting for them. And let's see what happens, because these look like cards that are going to be definitely something that we can sink our teeth into. I'm hoping myself personally to get a 5900. Now, whether or not I can afford it, or if maybe I can get a hold of one of the manufacturers and get a sample just to test it, would be amazing. I haven't had a lot of success at that, obviously, yet, because everything I have reviewed is stuff that I've bought by myself, for myself, or for other people, of course, when I'm building PCs. I know that the 1660 non-TI I put in a system, I was actually really impressed with that card. And I just thought it was decent card overall for the amount of money that I paid for it, or for the customer paid for it. I did some testing on it, and I was actually really impressed with that card. And now I just built a 580 RX 580 system, and I still am impressed with the RX 580. Like it's not a AAA high ultra settings graphics card, but at the end of the day, you could play a lot of games at high or medium high, and still get pretty decent frame rates at 1080p. So my thought is that these cards are going to go bye-bye very soon, as soon as the stock runs out on them, because they're going to be switching over to the 5500, the 5600, and the 5700, and then potentially in the future of all the other ones. So, but I think that for the most part, the 5800, or sorry, the RX 580 is definitely, if you can afford, if that's all you can afford, it's definitely not a bad buy. But at the end of the day, are you going to have to upgrade sooner? Yeah, you will. If you want to play those AAA titles and you want to have the best graphics, then yeah, you want to upgrade that probably sooner. Matching it up with a CPU like a 2600, you're probably only going to want to go to a 5700 if you're doing a 2600 or a 2600X, or if you're going with a 3800 or a 3700, then you can go a little bit higher. But do you need a 2080 Ti? No, you probably don't. Not with those processors, if it's for gaming, of course. But yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of cards we're starting to hear about Ampere and stuff like that, and I'm hoping that those cards are better value, and I think that they might be based on these rumors, based on the RX, 5950, because if these cards are say 25% better than the current touring cards, then, and the 5950, let's say, is 15% better than the current touring card, then of course price is going to be a battle again. But again, now if those cards are 40% better, and this one's 10% less. Well, then, obviously it's not something we have to worry about, because NVIDIA will just up the prices again, and we'll all buy them. And, I have a 2080 I paid, 650 Canadian for. And, like, that to me, that was crazy. Like, I remember I've built systems for less money than that. But whatever. I mean, it is what it is, and you pay to play, and you pay for the power to have the CUDA cores, and they do help out with in certain situations with editing and stuff like that. So, and rendering. So yeah, you pay for what you need, and that's what I did. So just go back to the 5500. Now the 5500 and the 5500 XT, I don't think the 5500 is available by itself. I think it's OEM only, and price wise, it doesn't really matter price wise. It kind of matters, but it doesn't, because I just don't think this is a good enough card. I think that, well, it does matter in the fact that they priced it too high. Now, had they priced it a little bit lower, I think that it might have been a little bit more competitive, and I maybe got a little bit more recommendations. Now you have the 5600 coming out and the 5600 XT. I don't know if the 5600 is going to come out other than OEM, but I know the XT is coming out for sure. And that definitely is priced a lot better, and it's in the same range as the competing RTX and GTX cards. So I think they might have another winner on their hands there. I'd like to get my hands on one of those too to test. So technically, I'd like to get my hands on the 5500 XT, the 5600 XT, and the 5700 XT, and just kind of have a comparison against my 2080. Now, I know the 2080 is stronger than all those, but not in all situations. And I am definitely not just an NVIDIA lover. I can tell you that right now. I think the prices are way too high, obviously. They've priced it to a point where 1660 is the best card I can squeak into a lower mid-range system, and it's just on the cusp of being playable at AAA titles. I mean, it is playable, but if you move up to 1440, that card is not the card you need anymore. And of course, you're not doing budget by going to 1440. But we're all talking about upgrading in the future. It'd be nice to have a card I just remember back in the day when I bought my GeForce 2 GTS, I think it was. And I thought, oh my gosh, that was the best card ever. I remember thinking, transforming lighting. Wow, Voodoo's got nothing on this thing. Back then it was ATI. Oh, they can't even come close to this. This is amazing. This is going to last me for like 10 years. Wow, little did I know that graphics cards were going to be, the thing, and they just exploded, obviously, after that. And prices weren't too bad for the longest time. Like, you could get the next generation for a decent upgrade, but then when this generation came out, it was a crazy thing. And and I think it affords AMD to fiddle with their pricing a little bit. Obviously, the debated thing was, I don't think that was real. I think they wanted to sell it at the price that they had originally posted. But then the supers came out, and they realized that they're going to be even with them, so they got to do something, and it was the price that got knocked down, which is a good move on their end. I don't think it's something that they wanted to do, but it's something that they did do. And I hope that they keep doing it. I hope that they bring out cards with similar or better or marginally worse, say 2 to 5%, because it's not really viewable. A lot of people make a lot of comments about how, oh my goodness, this card is 4% faster, and that's why I have it. It's hard to see 4% on the screen. It really is. But, some people can. I'm not going to say that they can't, because some people absolutely can just notice the difference in frame rates right away. and sometimes I can, sometimes I can't. It depends on the game. But I hope that they are competitive in the next year, or this 2020, and that we get a better selection of cards from them. And I hope it pushes NVIDIA to redefine their pricings, because at this point next year, if we're doing a 3080 Ti, and the price is up from the current one in the Canadian market, you're probably looking at about $1,700 just for a video card, maybe even $1,800, and that's for a low end one. That's not even a high end one. So, like, in the U.S., you're probably looking at if they bump the price on the 3080 Ti, you're probably looking at least what, $1,300 for an entry level 3080. Whether or not they call it that, I don't know. I haven't actually heard a lot of rumors or read a lot of rumors about it. There are some things out there, but I mean nothing really concrete yet. But these big Navi ones, they just won't die, and they've been around for, I don't know, probably about 7 months, 8 months now, maybe even longer. And like, I think the 5700 was good enough that they didn't need to release it, and maybe they, and they didn't really. Like, they're competing in an area that it's right in the middle. It's not the super high end like the 2080 or the Titan, but at the same time, it's right in there with the 2060, 2070, and there's the money maker, right? That's the one that's going to sell, and you're going to make your profit on. And now you got the 5600. I think that's going to bring in some money for them too. I think it probably is about, maybe, I don't know, I'm thinking about $30 to $40 too expensive, but you know what? It's right in line with the other prices of the other video cards, so it's right where they need to be, and they're going to make money on that. The 5500, oh man, I hope that nobody buys that card. And if you do have that card, I'm sure you're playing video games and you're more than happy with it. But I definitely would say hold on to your money and get a 5600, because it would definitely the boost is going to be a little bit more, and future proof is probably going to be a little bit better. But like, if you have a 5500, then there's nothing wrong with it. I mean, it's like buying a 1650. Like, if that's what you can afford and you can't wait and you have to pull the trigger right now, then that's the card you're going to have. And you might have to save up more, and eventually, that way you can start playing right now. And then eventually you get that video card and you were like, okay, I need to get a new video card, and you saved up, and now you can sell that card and buy the new one, and maybe get a little bit better card next time, right? Like, so, like, to each their own. I'm not going to sit here and say that Intel's better than AMD and AMD's better than Intel and Nvidia is better than ATI. Whoa, showing my age. AMD and AMD is better than Nvidia. Like, for all I know, and it doesn't look that way, but Intel could be the market leader in the fastest GPU in the near future. And I mean, honestly, I'm like almost chuckling in my head thinking that I just said that out loud. But, there's a point where they want to be in the market and all these things. They want to have CPUs, and I'm talking about Intel right now. They want to have CPUs. They want to have GPUs. They want to have, Ethernet cards, or like, they want to get in everything, because they don't want to just make their CPUs their bread and butter, because when they do that, the profit share is not there. But if they expand into other markets, well, then they can make more profit in other areas, even if their CPU department's not doing well. And as we know, they're losing a little bit of market share to AMD at the moment. But again, and Gordon from PC World, I believe, he said it best. Like, the K6 was amazing, and then Intel brought out the Core, and it absolutely obliterated, right? So it's not over for Intel. They're going to come out with something different and something new. It might take 2 years, but and I'm sure it'll be competitive, if not better, than anything that AMD has. But right now, AMD is definitely, and a lot of people are going to say, oh, the 9900K is fast as a gaming. It is. It's 100% fast as a gaming. But when throw it at anything that's multi-threaded, productivity-wise, then, those numbers equal out, I think. And I think that, now we have the Threadrippers out that AMD has just, the 64 core 128 thread. There's just nothing from Intel. They don't have anything that can compete at that level at that price, and which is fine. They don't have to. They make enough money on their i5s, i3s, i7s, the i9s. They're not hurting, there's but, and if anybody thinks that, on the AMD side, just because I'm running a 3800X, if Intel came out with a chip that was an amazing, processor that was in line pricing wise with the AMD and absolutely throttled it, then I would go that route too. Because why not? Why wouldn't you? Right? So, I mean, I have no allegiance to that, processors and video cards. I've run everything from the original ATI All-in-Wonder, Voodoo 2, NVIDIA, the NVIDIA GeForce GTS, GeForce 2 GTS, GeForce 2 DDR GTS. So I've had a lot of video cards in my long history of computer repair and tinkering, I guess, is what I've been doing. But I even had a Matrix M3D, which was a Video Logic card back in the day. It was an add-on card for, I think I had the Matrox Mystique, which everybody called the Matrox Mistake, because its 3D video capabilities were terrible. They were absolutely terrible. But did they market it, and the 16-year-old me, or that was like 16, maybe 17, was like, wow, it's 3D and it's cheaper than a Voodoo card, and I can't really afford a Voodoo card, so I'm gonna buy it. And I got that, and I thought, wow, this is amazing. And then my buddy bought a Voodoo card, and it didn't look so amazing anymore. So yeah, just going back in time. What other card did I have? I had a Voodoo. I had the Canopus Pure 3D Voodoo, and it came with 6 megabytes of RAM. Oh, rather than the 4 that it came with originally. And you could run it at 800 by 600 instead of 640 by 480. Oh my goodness, it was crazy times. And your frame rates were golden. Choking on my own spit. You were golden if you got to 30 frames per second. That was silky smooth, And now I'm playing video games and I'm getting 100 and something, thinking, wow, I got to get those frame rates up. These are really low. And I'm thinking, and then I think back and I'm like, wow, like we were just pushing for 30, but of course that was years and years ago. And games didn't look like they do today, right? So, well, unless you're talking about Minecraft, then games back then might have looked a little bit better. Just kidding, Minecraft fans. It's I don't play the game, my kids do, but I get it. I get the idea behind it. So I'm not ragging on you guys. I'm sure that if I played it enough, it would be fun. But yeah, so just I'm kind of getting all over the place here, but like video cards are it's a crazy market right now, and it's because I think that with the Bitcoin or the bit currency craze 2 years ago and last year, the beginning of last year, really pushed the prices on video cards because you couldn't get them, right, and everything got raised, and NVIDIA and AMD both were like, wait a second, we could. Look at the retail sector selling these cards for this price. Why aren't we asking for that? And that's what they did. They were like, okay, they're willing to pay that. And of course, we didn't fight back on that. We were like, okay, that's the price we're going to pay. and now that's what we pay now. So I can't see the prices coming down. I hope that Nvidia keeps the pricing where they are for their next cards. Maybe like 10 or 15, $20 maximum bump on price would be nice. Not good, but obviously, so to keep it down. But it would be really nice if AMD could bring out the RX 5950, if that's a thing. I don't even know if it's a real thing. Let's hope it is. But if they do bring it out, and then it's 2080 Ti competitor, plus minus 5%, let's say, and it's like 9 something. Well, that's that's decent. I think that we could work with that. You have the 950 XT, and then the non XT, which would be the 2080 competitor, which would probably be a little bit faster. And then you got the 5800, which I don't know where that fits. The 2070 super competitor, but I think the 5700 is there. So if a 5950 is a 2080, I feel like it might actually be faster, and the 5900 would be the competitor, and then the 5800 would be like the 2080, a little bump higher than that. But who knows? But if they can bring those out at cheaper prices, I think that we could definitely see maybe Nvidia either maintain prices or even drop their prices a little bit. So, but I don't know. Tell me, guys, what you think. I think that this is, and again, sorry about the not having the video. I definitely wanted to put a video out, but I'm just big bags under my eyes and everything else, and I'll have a video on January 29th explaining everything that's been going on with me. We'll. You guys look, there's not a bunch of you right now, but there's 100 some odd of you watching, hopefully. And, I hope that you guys, I want to do a podcast anyways. I kind of want to I'm trying to get my brother to come in, because I want to do because I know computers and I know the hardware, and he does too, but not to the level I do. And I just want to have that conversation between someone that is knowledgeable. I'm not going to say I'm an expert, because I am definitely not an expert. You guys can watch videos on Gamers Nexus, that's expert. That guy, those guys are going right into VRM, and they're talking about memory, and they're talking about the stages and the pipeline, and they're breaking it right down, right? And hardware unbox, same thing. They they don't get too technical with the actual, say, they do VRM and stuff like that, but I mean, they push numbers like nobody's business, man. When you're doing a 20 game GPU roundup, I can't compete with that. I mean, why wouldn't I send you to their channel? I use their channel to look at their numbers, right? I mean, it's a great place to go look. But it would be nice to have someone like me that kind of has some knowledge on the idea of, and of course I've read everything up on these cards that I can, barring the 5900s and the 5800s, but all the other cards I kind of read up on them and did my research on them, and and I would love to have someone else sitting here and just have a conversation about what the other side thinks, just what is a normal person looking for? I know what I'm looking for, right? Am I going to buy, I had a 1070 Ti, and then I upgraded to the 2080. Did I need to do that? Was it a huge step? Nah, it was a definitely an increase in power for me, but I could have got away with my 2070 Ti. But for the price I got the card, I couldn't say no. It was ridiculous. So, at the end of the day, I did it, but would I bought this card if it was $1,000 Canadian? No, absolutely not. I would have stayed with my 1070 Ti, and I would have waited 2 more years, and I would have got, whatever I felt was, better at that time for similar price that I paid for my 1070. I think it was $70 or $80 more for the 2080 than I did my 1070 Ti. Crazy thought. But whatever, that is what, I kind of went crazy when I was building my PC. But and I overpaid for the 1070 Ti. But whatever. I just, I was kind of want to have that idea of just having a podcast with me and my brother, or my buddy. I'm not going to name his name, but I've always asked him, come on some of the videos with me and have a live stream with me, and he would be awesome because my brother would be funny because he's always talking over me. So getting a word in edgewise would be like super hard. And the other friend that I have, or my other friend who I'd like to come on, he's just super funny, and he makes me laugh all the time. And I think even if he didn't have the knowledge, I guarantee he would definitely study up if I gave him notes of what we were going to talk about, and it would be a good conversation. But it would be fun. So guys, let me know what you think about this. And wow, 30 minutes. I didn't think I would get to 30 minutes. So yeah, kind of rambling about video cards. I was gonna call it the RX 5000 video, or audio. I guess it's not really a video, but I think I'm just gonna call it my adventures in video carding because I started talking about cannabis. So whatever. Okay, guys, you have a good day or night, and I'll see you in the next podcast or video. Talk to you later. Bye.